How to Take Pictures of Golf, revised 2025 June. What we will cover: safety, gear and exposure, planning, including major no-go problems, logistics, planning, the sample shot list, then sample pictures and problem shots. Safety. A golf course is a dangerous place to be. If you get hit by a golf ball, you could be injured. Primary rule: do not stand in front of a golfer hitting the ball. If he mishits the ball and the ball hits you, you will be in a world of hurt. You have to watch for danger from the groups behind you and the groups on adjacent holes. In other words, you're going to have to look all around you 360 degrees. Get a safety briefing from the coach. Where to stand. When near the golfer, do not stand in front of the golfer. Look at the picture on the right. Do not go anywhere in front of the red line in the picture. If the golfer mishits the ball, it could go sideways instead of forward, and you don't want to be in front of that ball when it goes sideways. Next, do not go close to the golfer. You do not want to disturb the golfer, especially the golfer from the opponent team. Gear and exposure. Gear. Golf is a day game. That makes camera selection and lens selection much easier. Camera. Most any camera you have. Golf is a sport where a mirrorless camera with an electronic shutter has an advantage. It is silent, and you won't disturb the golfers with your shutter. Lens. Here you have two options. The difference is the lens. One camera, one lens. Use a wide range lens such as an 18-400. Second option, two cameras, two lenses. General purpose lens and a long zoom, such as the 18-140 and 100-400, or 18-55 and 70-300. You may be asking, why two cameras? Why can't you just change lenses? Having shot a golf match before, it is difficult and time-consuming to be changing lenses in the middle of a match. I've done it. I can change lenses fairly quickly, but you're going back and forth and swapping lenses constantly becomes a hassle. It is much easier and faster to just grab the second camera. When I go on a golf match now, I carry two cameras and I swap back and forth. Exposure. Golf is a day game. A lot easier than trying to deal with the darkness at night. Exposure settings. Mode, S or TV, shutter priority. Shutter speed, 1/2000 of a second. ISO, auto. For high school golf, as you get to the 9th hole at about 6 p.m., the sun may be going down below the hills or the horizon, and it will get dark. Drop the shutter speed down to 1/1000 of a second, maybe a little bit lower. But if it gets too dark, you may not be able to take any more pictures. Planning. Major no-go problems. First, course rules. Some courses will not let a photographer go on the course. Check in advance with the coaches. The coach may have to check with the course for this. Next, the other team may not want a photographer taking pictures. Again, your coach will have to check with the other coach. Logistics. Golf is an away game. You have to have a way to get to the golf course before the meet starts. Some of our meets start at 3 p.m., which means you probably have to leave school 2:30, 2 o'clock. Unlike field or gym games, you cannot arrive late. Once the last foursome has left the starting tee, you cannot join them. And once you head out, you are committed to the 9 holes. Unlike a football field or a gym, you cannot leave early because there is no provision for leaving early. Cart. Some golf courses will not rent a cart to a student. If you cannot rent a cart, you will have to walk. 9 holes is about 2.5 miles. Or ride with the coach. Course logistics. It is sunny out there on the golf course. Put on sunblock. Wear a hat. Maybe a long sleeve shirt. If you are walking, wear comfortable shoes. Take a restroom break before you head out on the course. There might be an outhouse at about the 5th hole. Then again, there might not be one. On a cart. If you are not on the cart path, the ride will probably be bumpy. Rain. It could and has rained during a golf meet. As long as the course is open, golfers will go out in the rain. However, your camera is not weatherproof. Do not shoot in the rain. Tips. Do not just show up at the course. Always arrange in advance with the coach to shoot a meet. Some courses will not allow a photographer on the course, and the coach will have to clear you to shoot with the other team's coach. If either of these two conditions happen, you may have to just turn around and go home. Next, arrange with the coach to shoot at a practice round. The reasons are the players are not competing in the meet. Next, there isn't another team to disturb and get upset at you taking pictures. And finally, you can take pictures that you cannot take during a meet. Things to figure out. First time you're at a course, a lot of time is spent figuring out how to shoot at the course. Where is the sun? Which direction illuminates the player best? Where do I shoot from? What shots can I get? Who will give me the best shots? How do I get shots of all the players? And how to shift from one foursome to another. Planning. Get a map of the golf course. You're going to determine the direction of the sun. You want to shoot with the sun to your back. You don't want to shoot towards the sun. Pictures later. Plan where you need to be on each hole to have the sun at your back and have a frontal shot of the players. Get a map of the golf course. Failing that, Google Earth is your friend. This is the first 9 holes of the Crystal Springs golf course. I've numbered each of the 9 holes. From here, you can see which way the holes are going, and with the sun coming from the left side of this picture, you can see which way you have to deal with for the sun. Examples. Picture bottom right. The sun is to the photographer's back. The sun is illuminating the front of the golfer. You can see his shadow behind him. Picture left. The sun is behind the golfer. You are shooting towards the sun. You can see the shadow between the golfer and yourself. You can see how deep the shadow is on the golfer's face. Compare the two. Which one would you rather have? Planning. High school golf is 9 holes, not 18. How many players and foursomes will there be? You want to try and get pictures of all the players. For yearbook, in the spring, you do not know if any of the players have hit the limit of pictures in the yearbook. Are they on the ban list? If so, they cannot have any more pictures. So any pictures you shot, you can't use. So you're going to have to use pictures of the other players. That's why you shoot all the players. Athletic department. You want pictures of all the players. Next, you need to move between foursomes to get all the players. Sample plan. This is planned with using a cart. First tee, shoot first and second foursome. Go out with the second foursome. Shoot back to the third foursome on the tee. Third tee, advance the first foursome. Shoot back to the second foursome on the tee. Fifth tee, drop back to the second foursome. Sixth tee, drop back to the third foursome. Eighth tee, drop back to the non-match players. Ninth green, end of the match. Sample plan without a cart. First tee, shoot first and second foursomes. Go out with the second foursome. And shoot back to the third foursome on the tee. You're going to be shooting the second foursome on the fairway and the green. Third hole, advance the first foursome. Shoot the first foursome on the tee and fairway. Shoot back to the second foursome on the tee and fairway. And shoot back to the third foursome on the tee and fairway. What you're doing is you're going to stay in one place and let the three foursomes go past you to get their pictures. Then you're going to cross over to the seventh hole. Shoot the first foursomes on the tee and fairway. Shoot back to the second foursome on tee and fairway. And shoot back to the third foursome on the tee and fairway, just like you did on the third hole. On the eighth hole, follow the third foursome. Ninth green, end of the match. Sample shot list. First, get a group picture before the match. By the time the last foursome finishes, there may not be enough sunlight for a good picture. Lesson learned. Second, shoot during warm-up on the driving range and practice green. Next, get some shots on the tee, and then on the fairway and on the green, and get pictures of each player on our team. Sample pictures. On the tee, on the fairway. Similar to the tee shots, if you are in front of the golfer, like top right, you need to be careful. You do not want to get hit by that ball. More on the fairway shots. On the green, bottom left, he just sunk the ball. Fist pump. These are the kinds of shots you want to get also. Other pictures. Out of a sand trap. Bottom left, wildlife on the course. Group pictures. Example of 4 different group pictures. Picture I want you to take a look at is bottom right. Remember what I said about taking group pictures before the meet? Picture on the top left was shot before the meet. Picture on the bottom right was shot after the meet. You notice the color on the bottom right is very different than the other pictures. This is because it was dark and we had to set the camera and the computer to try and get the image out of the dark. Specific and problem shots. How to do this tee shot. Set the shutter speed to 1/4000 of a second. Shutter speed in the picture was 1/2000 of a second, and you can see the club head and ball are blurred. So we're going to have to bump the shutter speed up to 1/4000 or faster. Camera frame rate, 60 frames per second or more, if your camera can do that. The frame rate that I used was 50 frames per second with the electronic shutter. And reliably getting this shot was less than 50%. The club and ball are moving fast. Without a fast frame rate, you have to shoot a lot of tee shots. It's simply a numbers game. Shooting back to the tee, as in these 2 pictures. Primary thing is safety. Shoot from a distance. The farther you away from the golfer, the more time you have to avoid the ball if it's heading towards you. Next, shoot from behind a large tree. If the ball is heading towards you, duck behind the tree, and you want that tree to protect you. If there is no tree there, there is nothing to protect you from a ball heading towards you. And finally, use the longest lens you have. Again, this is to get you far away from the golfer. The long shots. These are the same two pictures we showed you before. Both of these were shot at approximately 160 yards. Distance. The farther you shoot, the more air you are shooting through. Issues with air. Distance. The farther the shot, the more air you are shooting through. More air equals more stuff that you are shooting through, and the more distorted your picture will be. What is stuff in the air? Dust, pollen, smoke, water vapor, and more. Next, heat and thermal distortion of the air. In the afternoon, the ground has been heated all day by the sun, and you will get mirage and heat distortion in the air. Bare dirt is warmer than green grass, so if possible, you want to look for green grass to shoot over as opposed to bare dirt. How to do the long shot? First, try to reduce the distance so you don't have to do a long shot or as long a shot. Next, use as long a lens as you can. Reason is you don't want to crop deep into the image. If you have to crop deep into the image quality will degrade. So it's better to use a longer lens so you don't have to crop deep. Next, stabilize the camera. Support the camera. Brace against something solid or use a monopod. Next, use a high shutter speed. Distance will magnify camera movement, so you want as high a shutter speed as you can to reduce that camera movement effect. Next, your camera has image stabilization. Turn it on, either on the camera or in the lens, or if your camera does both, use both. The environment. You can do little to nothing about the stuff in the air. If it's smoky, it's smoky. You can't wait because the smoke won't disappear. It's just there. Thermals. Shoot over green grass. Green grass is cooler than bare dirt. Shoot over a depression so you have more air between the hot ground and your line of sight. Again, try to reduce the distance of the shot so you're shooting through less air. Less air means you're shooting through less stuff and less thermals. The end. Please like and subscribe.